Good morning, real estate investors, and welcome to the Art of the Slow Flip. I'm your host, Scott Jelinek, and I am sitting here today with Cameron Peters, a slow flipper now for what, 2 years, Cameron?
He's going on three, coming up
Going on
on
3
pretty
years.
fast. Yep.
All right. Well, welcome. I'm glad you made it on here today. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. How about you?
I am wonderful. So I wanted to take a second and go all the way back. It's been almost 3 years already. Wow, time flies.
Yeah.
So I wanted to take a step back and go all the way from the very beginning. Before we even start your slow flip journey, I want, if you can just tell us about yourself. What did you do prior to real estate? What did you do in real estate? And then your transition into slow flips.
Sure. So right after I graduated high school, I joined the Air Force about a year after that. So a whole 22-year journey in the Air Force. I retired from that. And as I retired, I was very interested in real estate back in the day. I always talk about Carlton Sheets back in the day, watching him when I was a youngster. I didn't know how to take
that course.
Steps. Yep.
I still have it, but it's cassette tapes. There's no way to play it anymore.
Yeah, I remember that too, the cassette tapes and the big book looking thing, right?
Yeah.
And so I had that bug then, but I didn't do anything with it for 22 years, right? And so as I came to the end of my Air Force career, I was still very, very interested. And so here in the Hampton Roads, Virginia area is where I'm from, a little bit outside of it, but I started wholesaling in that area, looking to get, some capital pops basically to buy some rentals, right? And so I bought 3 rentals and working hard. And then I was looking at the expenses year over year. I wasn't making a dime, not after expenses and repairs and things like that. I wasn't making anything. Actually, they were in the red. So, I mean, very simply, I was like, man, I'm going to wait 30 years for this. I'm going to wait 30 years for this.
30 years.
Right.
Yep.
And about that time is when I stumbled across, some YouTube videos and stumbled across some things and found my way to the Slow Flip book. I read it and that was it, because it clicked, because my whole thing was the rentals and the money that they drain, the expenses that they drain, and we're not really making anything. We're really just having a job that doesn't pay.
An unpaid job. Yeah.
Yeah. So once I saw the Slow Flip model, I was like, man, this is it. I really see this. I can embody this. This makes perfect sense. So I signed up for the program as soon as I could and got rolling. And I took about 90 to 120 days, I think, just watching the videos, watching school, watching all the content. And then, like you're saying, making the 100 offers. I looked at so many properties on Zillow, and I kind of had to retrain my brain, because I was looking at true traditional flips, in my past. Like, yeah. I was wholesaling and doing flips here in the area. That's what I was looking for, but that's not what we were looking for. So I had to retrain my brain, right? So I started in the program and started educating myself. And then I think it was about 4 months in, I bought my first slow flip. And that one, I think maybe a month or two later, bought another one and kind of just slowly started building up.
Let me cut you off, Cameron. Let's go back to your first one. So tell me about it. What city, what state is it in? Numbers, tell me about, because I know that's a scary thing when people get started going from conventional rentals, which are nice and multi-$100,000 houses, to slow flips. So let's go back to the first one.
Sure. So the first one, I would say one of the biggest, it was in St. Louis, East St. Louis, Illinois, right? So the East St. Louis, just outside of St. Louis, but on the Illinois side. And I go back to that first one and I think about how big of a deal it was, because I've never seen the house. I've never been in East St. Louis in my life. I've never had any reason to go, right? And I'm going to buy a house there. And everything that I had done in the local area, for the most part, I had seen and walked every single property. So this was a virtual experience, but it went really well. We were able to get boots on the ground check on the property, close properly, do the final walkthrough, everything. And it took a couple months, but we got a tenant buyer in there. And since then they've turned over, but we have another one in there that's paying. Unfortunately, that first one, somebody went in there, the first tenant buyers, and they kind of gutted it and they didn't fix it, at least the bathroom for the most part. So the next guy that came in, he had some bathroom repairs to take care of, but he was all about it. So the first one had some roller coaster.
That's the way it goes. But you didn't tell us the price. What did you pay for it? What did you sell it for? What did you get monthly?
Sure. So that one I bought for $15,000. And it was a nice house. It did not have heating system. So that was one of the biggest things, but everything else about the house was fantastic.
Wait, can we say that again? Because people say $30,000 houses don't exist, and you just said you bought a house for $15,000.
Yeah. And out there, I mean, all you have to do is look on Zillow. Well, I mean, like we talked about, you could screenshot the whole country and look at Zillow and see where those $30,000 pockets are, but it doesn't mean you have to pay $30,000, right? Obviously, we got that one for $15,000. And we ended up selling that one for $1,000 down, and it was $695 a month. It was a cheaper one and needed a lot more work, and $59,000 total. So, and like I said, that one's turned over, and we sold it for about relatively the same price. It needed a little bit more work, so I'm pretty sure we came down in the 40,000 range for that. Needs quite a bit more work, but the buyers, they're putting it in. So
nice. So then go ahead. You bought your first one, and then moving on.
Yeah, I bought the first one, and I planned to fill that one like we talked about before I get the second one. And the second one just kind of landed in my lap, and I couldn't say no. And anyways, that one we bought for $25,000. Yep, and that one sold for about the same price. Honestly, it was about $2,000 down on that one, and then $695 a month and $69,000. That was in Peoria, Illinois. So that was also where I found a deal in another market that is a very vibrant market for us now. But I'm pretty sure I was one of the first people to pick up a SlowFlip there. There was just a couple of us at that time, and that SlowFlip, now that's been 2 years. It's just turning over. They decided to leave. I just got a message from them. They're like, hey, we're not going to live here anymore. Explanation. Here's the keys. And they just walked away. So sometimes that happens. We're going to put it back out and market it. But that one went for 2 years strong, paying. And they never paid on time, but they always paid by the end of the month. So plenty of late fees tied in with that too, with the income. So I was kind of turnover is what it is. But I was like, man, they're paying late fees. Now we're going to resell it. No worries.
So I'm bouncing around here, but you just made me think of something else. How did you pay for these properties?
So the first one was a private money lender. The second one, I did use Offer Market, which is one of the lenders here that we have in the group. I've only used Offer Market once. Most of the rest, or all the rest of them, have either been a private lender or has been cash from wholesale deals, cash pops, where I could buy a house for cash.
All right, fantastic. And so now moving it way forward. So those were your first two. How many do you have now?
So we're at 24 now. We're going to close 2025 out with 24.
What is your, and you may not know that you are analytical, you'll know the number. What is your total gross, just gross collections per month? What, if everybody, you have 24 of them, what do you know what your total gross is per month?
So it averages right around the 20,000, 18 to 20,000, somewhere in there. For the most part, everything's breaking even. I do have a couple that are I'm paying a little out of pocket, but for the most part, all of them, I'm receiving at least the lender payment, right? And the taxes. So
now so $20,000 a month coming in, you're breaking even, which is kind of our business plan that everybody hates when they want to get rich quick, right? Yep. However, the second part of that equation, if you're new to SlowFlip or don't even know what he's talking about, why would anyone do this if you're breaking even? What does your loan payoffs look like?
Yeah, so the first one that we bought, the one that I mentioned that was $15,000, we bought that on a 4-year term because it was a $20,000 loan. So, right. Either we're buying with a $30,000 loan with our private lenders or a $20,000. So that one was one that's 4 years. So that one will actually pay off 2027. Yeah. So just a year and a half left on that one. I love those. And in 2024, we bought a few of those $20,000 loans because we were able to get the properties for $15,000 to $18,000. Nice properties. Move right into them properties.
So either 4 or 5 years are your loan terms. So at the maximum, if you bought one today, it would be 5 years from now, right? And you would be at $240,000 a year income once they get paid off. You said $20,000 a month. Am I hearing you correct?
Yeah.
So $240,000 a year income. If you didn't buy any more and you just waited out the couple years of mortgage payments. One question I want to ask, I obviously know the answer, but people ask it all the time. They believe when I say it's only a 5-year mortgage, they're like, yeah, but what about the balloon? Then you have to refi, or then you have to come up with money. Can you address that, Cameron?
No, not at all. 5 years is completely paid off. Amortized for 5 years or 4 years, like we mentioned, but it's completely paid off. So during this time we're breaking even, like we're saying, but the year's coming, just 2 to 3 more years, and all that cash that's being paid for the properties will be directly into our bank account. So, I mean, we're going to continue to build our portfolio with that. That's our plan.
Which goes exactly, there's a saying, we say all the time, and I didn't make it up, but I love it because it fits with slow flips. And that is, if you do what's easy, life will be hard. And if you do what's hard, life will be easy. Well, you're breaking even on 24 houses. That's not easy, right? However, you get through just a few more years and you have $250,000 a year coming in. And that's if you stopped buying, which I know you're not stopping buying. That's if you stopped today and did nothing else. Or you can do, which I know people do, the opposite plan where they're like, they love this saying. I hear it all the time. I need to make money right now. Yeah, you've been saying that for the last 50 years, and you're going to keep saying it. So instead, they're like, no, I'm going to pull this money out, extract it from my lender. I'm going to extract it from my people. And they're going to be struggling forever. They make their little bit right now, and they're going to struggle forever. And so what we do here, as you know, Cameron, is we flip it on its head. We're like, you know what? Yeah, we're going to struggle a little bit. Not that it's not that much of a struggle, but we're breaking even. We don't make much money the first 5 years. Now, some people do. Now, I know you're making money in other ways, and we can talk about that in a second. But from your properties, you don't make much. Some people make a couple $100 a month or whatever but it's not designed to. It's designed to break even, maybe with $50, $100 left, but we still don't spend that, right? You know the program. However, if you just struggle along, stick with it, for 3 more years, 4 years, you are free forever. And I never understand how I come. There's certain people, and yourself is one of them, and most people in the Freedom Accelerator are them, that I can resonate with and get it through their head. This is why we're doing it this way. So you can be free forever. But there's other people that I could never reach because their answer is always, but I need to make money right now. And I'm like, you've been saying that forever. How's that worked out so far, right? And if you would just look for the future and not what I need to make money today.
I've already tried that. I've already said I got to make money today, and I've tried all those routes, right? And that, and it didn't work.
Most people have. You know what? When there's a few things we have very common within our people in our program, right? And that's why we all get along great and become friends, is because we've done those things before. We've already done we're going to be rich by next Wednesday, and we've already done the boom and bust, and traditional rentals and the BRRRR method and all that stuff. We've done it all, read the manual, did it step by step, and then realized we were sold a dream, right? And those are the people that resonate with, you know what, I'd rather just suck it up for a couple of years and be free forever than come up with a new plan every couple of months on how we're going to be rich next month. And but you are making, so that leads to the next question, Cameron. You just said you're breaking even, you're not going to make any money, yet you're a stay-at-home husband and dad. I jokingly say that, but so how are you supporting yourself? How are you making money? Because I know you obviously are still doing well.
So a couple different things. So I do the filling of the properties also. So I lead the filling team. So we have a team of people, about 30 or so people, and that help fill the properties, right? So after you purchase your SlowFlip, now you got it, it's vacant, it's ready to go, you're ready to sell it to a buyer. I coordinate that filling team to get the property information, to get it out to market, show the property, sell the property. So when we do that, we keep 50% of that fee, the down payment that's paid. So when the buyer pays the down payment, 50% of that is the filling fee. Very, very convenient, very, very awesome program, because what do you have to lose, right? If we're able to fill your property, you're going to get your new tenant buyer, right? You're going to keep 50% of the down payment. If we're not, you're not going to owe us a dime. So that's one of the ways that's been a steady income of not getting rich, but helping to offset some of the money that obviously we're not making because we're breaking even. The second thing is wholesaling properties, finding those off-market properties that another slow flipper in the group would be happy to pick up, right? And like I said, the ones that I mentioned, the $15,000 property and the $18,000 property, those were listed for much higher. Those were listed for $27,000 to $30,000, somewhere in there, but was able to make an offer and get them for less. And so we do that as well, which helps to offset some of the cash that's not being spent right now, right? That's just being used to pay off our loans and get us free and clear.
So Cameron, you mentioned filling. And so I have to backpedal on that for a second. On average, and you may or may not know this number, but I believe you do know it. On average, how many properties would you say you and the filling team fill per month?
It's really crazy. It's really, and I've been doing filling for about a year and a half now, and my eyes just opened up so much. It does depend on the month, but I mean, the past couple months, we've filled 80 to 90 properties per month.
80, 90 houses per month. And we are in December right now when we're filming this. So can you talk about January, February? Well, let's more so February, but January is next month anyway. So how does January and February look? And then talk about last year.
Yeah, so we're coming into the slow season. You know, as we move towards Christmas and the holidays, nobody really wants to move. I don't think that's specific to slow flips. Nobody really wants to move. And as we move into January, it's also pretty slow. But come tax return time, obviously we sell the properties with low money down and affordable monthly payment, right? Come tax time, tax return time, our buyers get these tax return checks and they're ready to move into a new house, buy a new house. So it is insane come February time. It goes into the hundreds of properties that we fill per month, 200 to 300 easy. It's always amazing to watch those numbers. And
200 to 300 houses filled in 1 month. It's insane. I remember last February. That's why I mentioned it, because I remember there was a post in our group about how many got filled in 1 month alone, the shortest month of the year. And it was absolutely insane.
Yeah. Yep.
And so here we are in December, and it's an interesting thing to talk about, which is why I was just thinking it is because here we are in December, and so many people are scared because, as you started off talking about, it's the slow season right now. Nobody wants to move during the holidays, so they are slowing down their buying or stopping and not buying, not realizing, it takes time to close. Even if you contract a house today, you're probably not closing by the end of the year, if not first week in January, right? So they're slow and are stopping their buying. Meanwhile, they're missing the opportunity because right after the holiday season is our busiest time of the year for filling properties. And I think you just said a couple hundred a month of filling properties. That is absolutely insane.
Yeah, and I want to say on that, last year at this time, as we entered into the slow season, that was my first slow season with, I think we ended the year last year with 18 slow flips. So heading into the end of the year, 18 slow flips, and that's a new thing from 3 properties to 18, right? So it's a big growth period for us. And it was very slow and it was tough, Scott. I'm a very positive person, but it was tough because almost nothing is happening. Everything seems so quiet, and I'm very, very thankful for the group because just looking around and talking to people, just hang in there, Cam, just hang in there, Cam. It's going to happen, right? We're going to move through this slow season. We're going to move back to the very, very fast season in the spring when we sell all these properties. So it's been really put my mind at ease this year, right? As I move into the season, I'm like, all right. And I've been talking to my family. I was like, all right, it's a slow season. I can slow down. I can work on some systems and some other things because it's a good time to find the deals, but everything just moves slower and you got to move with it.
Yeah, and that was a great point. Plus, that our business is a roller coaster. We talk about it often, the roller coaster of real estate investors, the roller coaster of a slow flipper. And it always is interesting. And you just said it because of the community you were able to hear from other people, just hang in there, the season passes. If one of two things happens, some people ride the roller coaster straight through the ground and crash and burn, right? Because they don't know, again, that it's coming up just in a month. You just got to hang on. And then there's other people that don't have the community, period. They have no one to talk to. And I've been there myself. You've been there yourself, where we're just doing, we're watching YouTube University, we're learning, but we don't actually have people. You have random names on the internet, but you don't have people you actually have a relationship with who are in the same industry. And so I think those two things are essential, and the community is, I can't think of how many times we would have went off the rails had we not had somebody who's been there before. And ironically, Cameron, now you're the guy that's been there before, talking to other people, meaning like, just hang on, next month we hit our peak months, and everything turns around. It's crazy the way that works as time goes on. I mean, everything changes. So tell me, what are your future plans?
So our goal right now is 50 slow flips over the next couple of years. I'm coming up on 50 here in a couple of years. So 50 by 50 is what I led into the program with. I'm sticking to that. I'm sure I'll go past it, but I'm just looking at that 50 marker and focusing on that and just making steady steps toward it. I do want to move forward and become a lender for the group as time goes on. Not there quite yet, but I'm looking forward to, enjoying being part of the slow flip community for years and years. But in another 5 years, we'll have a lot more passive income and have a lot more opportunities to do.
What does your day look like when you have $40,000-$50,000 a month positive cash flow? When you get to 50, I mean, you're going to be at $40,000 a month, free money after the 5 years pass, obviously. What does your day look like? Have you thought that through?
I'm still working on that. And I know that you and I have spoke multiple times about the personal vision that we talk about in the group. And I worked on that. And I actually just refreshed that this year, just a couple of weeks ago. So I've been reading through the new one, trying to develop or trying to write out and plan out what I would do. Because it sounds funny, but if you had this money every month, what would you do? And I've come to talk to a lot of people and they're like, I don't know. It sounds like I'd have this list, Yeah. So been focusing on exactly what we want to do. Baseball games are big in our family life. So we want to travel and see some more baseball games. That's just a very small example. But just to have the freedom to do what I want when I want.
I have friends that have sold businesses for $30 and $40 million, and still we get together and they're like, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up, and we literally, that conversation is always ongoing, when we can do whatever it is we want to do, what do we want to do? And I know I have answers for that too, but then everybody's like, yeah, but there's going to be a time where you're tired of traveling. You're tired of visiting new places. You're tired, and that's very possible. You have to have a plan. You gotta have your future vision. You gotta have a plan. And then, like you just said, you pivot, you tweak it and see where it takes you.
Yeah.
Your family, how has this impacted your family? How is everybody embracing it or involved with it or not involved? How's all that going?
So some in the family. So I have a wife and 2 daughters, and my oldest daughter's in college and my youngest daughter's in middle school. Right. And so my wife understands the business. We talk about it. She's not actively involved in it. But my oldest daughter, she's been working with me in the business. I've been teaching it to her. She comes on and watches these meetings, watches the replays, and she's been filling properties as well. She's been helping with writing agreements. She's learning a lot about the business, and I'm able to, pay her to do that. So it's not like she's doing it for free. And so she's really, really embracing it, and I can see everything clicking. And I mean, she's 20 years old, so I'm just blown away.
That's the thing. Once your mind turns, there's no taking it away. And even if it's in another industry, once you realize that it's not working all week for this little check and there's another way, it changes everything for her.
She's a junior in college right now, and she has a plan to purchase her first slow flip before she graduates, right? So the end of next year. And she already has a private lender lined up because she's attended events with me and talked to people. And so it's very, I had no idea when I was her age. And that to me has been one of the greatest blessings of this program, is that I'm able to share that with her, share something that wasn't shared with me at 20 years old. Yeah. You can't put a price tag on that.
Could you imagine if we knew, I mean, you said you're going to try and have 50 by 50. Can you imagine if you knew this when you were 20?
Yeah.
You'd be like, I need 1,000 by 50 or whatever the number may be. I mean, it'd be insane.
And that's one of the beautiful things about the group is there's people of all ages. We have several people who are in their 20s and their early 30s that have exponentially more than I have, right? And have worked so hard. And Megan, my daughter, can see that. And I'm like, look, they started in their their later 20s, or mid 20s. You're starting at 20. Like, compound interest is insane, and we talk about that, and she's just like, I can't even fathom it. And I was like, you don't have to, just work, keep stepping forward, and you're going to see it.
One of the things I love, Cameron, and you just said it, is you don't have to fathom it. All you have to do is get on the tracks, because the tracks are leading to that destination regardless. All you got to do is get on them. And that's one of the things I love about slow flips is it's not the fastest way to a check, right? But it is the guaranteed path to get there. Just get on the tracks and follow it, and it is going to get you, to freedom.
Yep. Sometimes I say to myself at the end of, because not every day's fantastic, right? Some days are rougher. At the end of a rougher day, I'm like, okay, well, tomorrow's one day closer to free and clear, right? I may have had a bad day, but it's one day closer to free and clear. So just keep
a lot better than the 30-year plan. So 2 last things, and I know I told you I was going to let you go. I didn't want to keep you all day. But 2 last things. So you started off, you said you had 3 properties, I think, or 4 properties originally that were conventional rentals. What's the situation with them now? Did you get rid of them? Did you convert them? What's the deal with them?
Yeah, so I've converted them, all 3 of them, to slow flips. And One of the three, the existing tenant buyer or the existing rental tenant that was already there, we've converted, and they were so thankful. It was funny because I presented this to them at the end of their lease and was like, hey, we're no longer doing traditional rentals anymore. Here's what we can offer you. They've been good paying, so there was no down payment associated with just a small change in their monthly payment. It wasn't much, and they were like, oh, we've been praying, we've been asking for any way that we could buy this house, and we didn't know how it was possible. We were going to ask you, but we didn't know how to ask you. And I'm like, oh, wow. It just blown away by that situation. That's just one story, but the other two, we've turned those over to SlowFlips as well, and it's going fantastic.
Have you ever compared just on those properties, your QuickBooks from SlowFlip when they were rentals to SlowFlips?
Yes. Yeah. That first one that I talked about where it was our first rental, and that one we bought just before the COVID timeframe. And as we went into COVID, they stopped paying, right? And so that was tough, right? Because I can't do anything. I still got to keep paying my mortgage. And there was a state program at that time. And so we did get the money paid back, but it was very stressful. And then we went to turn over the property, and there were so many repairs to do that, I was going to be putting out 8 to 10,000 to turn it over. Instead, collected 15,000 down.
Right.
Right. And there was a filler fee in that. So there was some off the top of that, but good paying ever since then. And I haven't spent a dime on maintenance, not a dime in years.
I know. You know my story. I stopped doing repairs a long, long time ago, and I don't plan on ever doing it again. Don't rehab, don't repair. I'm not getting involved in that whole world.
And that one rental property also went from, it had about a $600 a month increase when we slow flipped it from what it was renting for.
Yeah, so $600 a month plus no maintenance, no repairs, no turnover, and they gave money down.
Yes.
Yeah, can't beat it. All right, Kim, I'm going to let you go. But before I let you go, I want words of wisdom from you. Words of wisdom for real estate, words of wisdom for somebody thinking about getting into slow flips, and just in general. You've been doing this for years now. So what do you have in your head that you'd like to share?
Start where you stand. Start right now, today, where you stand. There's at least one thing you can do today that will help you out in the future. And I've heard a quote recently. I'm pretty sure you know it, Scott, but I love it. Done is the new perfect, right? Yeah. Done is the new perfect. I heard that recently from somebody, and I mean, it's sitting here on my desk. I wrote it out big because I keep reminding myself, don't, absorb all the material, look at the properties, look at 100 properties, see what's happening in the community and learn in the community, but don't hesitate. Take one small step every day, and you will get there for sure. So start where you stand.
That's fantastic. And I'm going to tell you, done is better than I say done is better than good. That's true, yeah. Done is better than perfect. Done is better than good is the same thing. But I'll tell you, I got that quote originally in 2012. And I remember the year because I was at an event in California. And back then, and this will be an interesting thing for you to hear, actually, back then I had been wanting to do training and to get going, doing YouTube and do everything. And I was buying the right cameras, getting the right lighting, getting all this crap, right? And I went to this event, and it was a Brendan Bouchard event, and he said done is better than good. And he talked about all the stuff I was doing. In mind you, this is a huge group, but he was basically talking to me. He's like, and because so many of you are doing this, this, and this. And he's like, all you need to do is take out your phone and speak to it, make your videos. It doesn't matter the lighting. It doesn't matter what you're wearing. It doesn't matter. And I started, like, if you go back and see my first videos in 2012, I literally started as soon as I got home. I was like, screw it, I'm just doing it. And I have embraced that ever since, including what we're doing right now, my podcast. When I started doing the podcast, everybody told me, oh, you have to have these companies that put in bumpers in the front, and they edit out the quiet noise, and they make the sound better and all this and that. So what happened to me is I didn't do a podcast until I finally said, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to do it the way I do it, which means there's no editing. When I get done, it gets uploaded. That's it. There is no bumpers. There is no commercial in the front and in the back. Nope. It's just me, the way I do things, exactly what we're doing now, and it gets uploaded and it becomes a podcast. Because when I tried to make it perfect, it just never happened. It just doesn't happen, period. So I love that was the quote you wanted to use, because I fully embrace that in everything I do. Better to get something done than to wait forever trying for it to be perfect, because it's never going to be perfect anyway. And that was literally the perfect quote that you could have said on it, because I live that every single day.
Yeah, if you have a phone, a computer, email address, you can start right now today. You can make offers right now today.
Yeah. And learn as you go.
Yeah.
That's it. You know, if you try and get the perfect house, most people, and I think you said the same thing with yours. No, they gutted yours, or you got a good deal on yours, but then someone vandalized it. But most people, when they look back in hindsight, they'll look at their first house and they'll be like, well, I could have got a better deal, or I could have done this better, or I could have done that better. However, and they're right. However, in time, even the bad deals still turn out to be cash cows. They still turn out to be awesome. I still would rather them do that first deal, because now they can move on to getting better at their second, third, fifth, 25th, 27th house, as opposed to waiting to get the perfect first one, because now years passed. And yes, they might have got a better one for their first deal, but they missed out on the other 20. They would have followed it. And, you always learn more by trial and error and by experience anyway.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, Cameron, I'm going to let you go because I know you're on a tight schedule today, but I thank you very much for coming on. I greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate it. I love sharing stories of somebody who especially was in real estate prior and then took the plunge and changed the model. And because it reiterates to anybody who's thinking about it that it is doable, it's possible, it's just a numbers game, and it takes time. You have to be willing for it to be slow, which is in the name.
Yep. Thank you, Scott. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. Greatly appreciate it. Have an absolutely fantastic day. And as always, do something today your future self is going to thank you for. I will see you soon.